You know what, as long as we don't have too many people here, but I don't mind. There's a little bit more people than I expected because of the weather. It's very, it's just uncomfortable. And you just now you work till 11.
No, absolutely.
Oh, that's nice. That's a nice house. But I want to hear the word. She's different. She's different.
I know you did.
I was gonna say, yes, I put Tracy by me. I put a little name tag there. What's the magic number? Everything? Yeah, I'm working at work, right? How are the kids? Have you had any fun stories?
I have it down. Is this my? Oh, I'm down. I do. I have my pack down.
Oh, congratulations. Congratulations. Yes. How far the
Oh, that's right. I feel like we're really far away. Doesn't that seem really far? I'm definitely.
Mary, I'm not saying I just want to know what everybody feels. The mask, you know what? Everything cool. I don't do that.
But it's every school. But if you had 26 counties, it would be a different story. And then school boards like that, even though parents as reading.
Hard. That's what I knew was hard. Well, give me this bad pen. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's here.
Oh, okay.
Hey, how you doing? Yes.
So Gabby texted me she's coming to the shower. I can't wait to see her ring. I'm so excited to see her ring. I saw your.
Oh, Neil. Freeze it in here. Where's the second? Where's the agenda? Get out there now. I think you'll go right.
Everyone's gonna go home.
I think it's so fun. It's such a fun idea.
Well, that's, the best man owns it. The guy who's the best man owns it, yeah.
Well, I know.
We're having a party in Mulcahy?
Yeah, my daughter showered. The best man in her wedding owns Mulcahy.
Yeah.
So we're doing the shower day. We made the whole outside area, we made it into a big party room. So we got,
No. I don't know if that when you first walk in.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Start. Hey, everyone. Good evening. Happy New Year. It's 7 o'clock. I want to try to keep to our schedule tonight since it's freezing and I'm sure everybody wants to get home. But we can call the meeting to order, and if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I'm going to keep my comments brief, so that way I know we do have some public speakers tonight, so I rather put the time into that. But I just want to wish everyone a happy New Year. Welcome. Thank you for coming out tonight. Like I said, in the cold, and I know there are a lot of other things going on. This is important, and I appreciate everyone coming. And I do want to make a few comments, just commending our staff again. Of course, the families, the students, parents, but over the past 2 weeks since before the holiday break and after, I know a lot of, it's all over the news. You're getting the emails, you're getting the letters home, but a lot of cases of COVID in all the schools. And I just want to commend our teachers, janitors, administration, everyone for just really pitching in, keeping the schools open. I'm very happy that we are not going virtual. We're open. I don't know if you saw on Newsday, a whole bunch more. I think Uniondale and some other ones went virtual this week. So I think that's really a testament to our dedication to keep the kids in school. It's very important to keep them in school, keep it going. So on that note, I just want to thank everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm going to defer to Dr. Siniak for her comments.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan. Welcome and Happy New Year. Welcome to 2022. Looking forward to a great year with our students, our families, and our staff, continuing to work together in the best interests of our students every day. A letter went out today to parents and to staff about some protocol changes, which seem to be happening faster and faster. We tried to get the information out as quickly as possible. So just be a little patient with us and our schools as we adapt to the new protocols. Our school nurses are truly heroes. We need to give them a huge round of applause. They are pretty much dealing with this one-on-one. Thank you. As well as our teachers and our faculty, our staff, and our administration. But our nurses' offices are definitely hopping, and we really appreciate the work that they're putting in with the families and the students. A lot of phone calls today. We have our kindergarten registration coming up. Always a great time of year, Ms. Long. February 1st, February 2nd, February 3rd. It is an electronic system, and Ms. Long, our district clerk, is such a wonderful asset when it comes to helping our families register. Very patient and looking forward to the new process. We had a big snow day last week, Friday. Nothing better than a Friday snow day, right, folks? When you think about it, our team, Mr. Carter, your team did an amazing job of clearing the parking lots and the sidewalks, and the sleigh riding at Old Mill Road still went off without a hitch, safely for our students. And I think that it was a really good time. It was a long week last week, folks. And I think that we couldn't have asked for a better snow day. So thank you all for your patience. We try to call it as quickly as we can. And please remember, we are not weather men, weather women, weather people. We're only as good as the information that we get. And after assessing the situation, it was the right call, and safety is always our number one priority. So thank you, and back to you, Ms. Ryan.
Sure, thank you. Friday seems like a long time ago. If we can have a motion to approve 3A through 3C, is listed on the agenda. A motion to approve by Ed, and I think second by Kathy. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimously passes. And we're going to go to public comment and the guidelines. Any person wishing to make comments or raise questions shall fill out a comment card. After you're called, please come forward to the microphone, state your full name. All comments or questions shall be directed to me or Dr. Siniak. The board or administration will do our best, as always, to immediately respond to any questions. Out of courtesy and fairness to the rest of the audience, each person will limit his or her remarks no more than 3 minutes, not to exceed a 30-minute session. Public discussion with respect to confidential matters, of course, is prohibited. So First one up, Chris Midkish, if you want to come on down. Actually, you have two, I think, so if you want to just do both. No, we never do agenda. Yeah, you can do whatever you like to speak. No, we haven't been doing that, so you can,
Got it.
all your, floor is yours.
Thank you. I'll just do the agenda item. It's about the comment cards, and I think it's just a good way to ensure that people who speak at our board meetings are residents. I've been at Central High School district meetings where political candidates get up and people that aren't in our district get up and try to speak and have an opinion on what we do in our district, and their opinion really doesn't count. I also don't think the boards should be wasting their time with people at the podium stating their name and address, and then there's some back and forth about whether people are residents or not. It's just a simple way to record public comments. I would also ask that if cards are eliminated, that there's some way that people don't have to get up to the podium and state their name and state their address, because I think that's sort of a violation of privacy, let's say. And then if anyone speaks on behalf of a group, I think they should identify themselves in that way as well. That is speaking on behalf of a political group or a community group, that they should identify themselves that way.
All right, thank you.
Want the second one out?
Why not?
Okay. I just wanted to say that I know this month has been a tough month for everybody, and it's been challenging as a resident. I appreciate your efforts, and I'm speaking tonight as a concerned resident. I want to emphasize that being rude and abrasive is easy. It's harder to be kind when you're dealing with a charged and passionate issue. So just to remind everybody that we can show strength and kindness to our neighbors. 2 months ago, the North Merrick Board was polled regarding vaccinations. And some of the trustees said they were against mandates. And then they voted on a state mandate to change signage on a single-person gender bathroom. They may have misspoken or meant just vaccinations. However, my question is, what legal advice did the board receive regarding polling of the trustees on any issue? The second question is regarding the county executive's orders not to enforce masks and requiring boards to vote on masks or no masks in school. I've been involved in the district for a long time. I think people know that. I've spoken to a lot of school officials who are telling me, and I believe them, that masks are one of many reasons why we're not seeing COVID transmit in school. Dr. Eisenstein recently said we may see a decline, and I'm hopeful that the guidance will loosen after the situation is reviewed. But basically, we're a county that's divided 50-50, plus or minus 2,000 votes. And on many issues, our district is divided as well. People say parents have the right to make health decisions for their child, and they do. You can choose not to wear a mask or vaccinate your child. But public schools are for the community of children, not just a portion of students. That's why the district has a health and safety plan, and it's created within state guidelines. If I decided that my son wanted to play football, but the shoulder pads chafed him and were uncomfortable, he wouldn't be allowed to play. And if I wanted my son to play hockey without a helmet because it limits his visibility, he wouldn't get to play hockey. We know that if masks are removed, the quarantines will rise because of close contact rules. What if the county said we don't have to have a gender-neutral bathroom or wear helmets during hockey? We would be hearing from different groups of parents on either side. So I just want to make sure that district is not, I don't want to use the word bullied, but pushed into voting on a matter that's not controlled by the county executive. And that the legal advice our council gives is a public matter, as well as who has the authority over school boards. Because the Board of Education trustees take an oath to uphold the laws of the governor, the Commissioner of Education, and in this case, the New York State Department of Health. So do we follow mandates? And if we don't, what's the risk to our district? And if there is a mandate that the public feels is too oppressive, what resources does the board have?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm just going to hit on 2 points. Number one, we did follow the correct polling rules. I did check with Neil. So everything as usual, we conducted the business in the appropriate fashion, and we followed all the rules at the last meeting or 2 meetings ago. So I just want to address that. As far as Blakeman's mandate and the unmasking of the children, I'm sure, I didn't read all the comments, but I'm sure that's why we have many comments tonight. I'm going to let everyone, this is public comment. And, I know we've strayed. Since I've been the president, I allow people, we go back and forth and we have a conversation because I think it's important that you come here, you're spending your time, your Tuesday night away from your family, away from, other activities. So, and you're making comments that are important to you. And I don't think it's fair for us just not to say thank you and have you sit down. On that note, because I'm sure the majority, if not all of our comments today are going to be regarding this issue one way or another, I'm not going to speak to that. I'm going to wait till everyone's done with their comments, and then we're going to, I'm going to let Neil speak, and we're going to handle it that way. So let's go through the comments. Claudio Baracchi. Welcome. Thank you.
I'm also going to speak about the county executive's executive order, which I think we all know he had no authority to impose that executive order on the school districts. But who said it best, I believe, is the statement from the 10 Long Island elected officials on the need to protect children in schools from COVID-19. These are Senators Brooks, Anna Kaplan, Kevin Thomas, Jim Gorin, Todd Kaminsky, Assembly People Michael Salagis, Chuck Levine, Judy Griffin, Taylor Darling, and Gina Solitti. I'll just quote their statement. I think it should be on the record as to those are the state officials that actually have a say on our education. Over the past 2 years, 3,435 of our friends, neighbors, and loved ones in Nassau County have died from COVID-19. We are grateful Governor Hochul has required the simple precaution of masks in schools to keep our schools open and our kids safe. At this point in the pandemic, when pediatric hospitalizations are spiking at dangerous levels, it would be the height of irresponsibility to ignore Governor Hochul's vital efforts to protect public health. We are confident the school districts of Nassau County will continue acting responsibly in the coming days, as they had no input in the county executive's actions. For the sake of our children, teachers, and school personnel, County Executive Blakeman must immediately rescind his irresponsible and clearly unlawful executive order. I just wanted to put that in the record. I feel many in the community share those views. Thank you.
Thank you. William Luciani. Hey, Happy New Year.
How's it going? I wanted to talk about something a little bit unrelated to masks, but
Can you speak into the microphone? I'm sorry, you could raise it if you want.
I wanted to speak about something a little bit unrelated to masks, but I would be remiss if I didn't say that, I strongly support this district going mask optional at the first available opportunity, and that I think everything everyone has said so far about the county being 50-50, 2,000 votes one way or the other, really weighs heavily in favor of local control of this issue so that the communities most impacted can make the decisions that are best for their local communities. And I think the fact that people are allowed on the board as they're conducting business to sit here with no masks on, and that I'm here with no mask on, kind of speaks to the idea that masking in schools, there's no real scientific basis behind it. And but what I really wanted to talk about here is that the quarantine policies in our school, and I understand that there were new regulations that were promulgated yesterday. I looked all over the New York State website for those.
I think it's on the Nassau County website.
Okay, I tried to look there. I couldn't
posted
find
yesterday.
it there either. Yep. But as I understand it, these regulations differentiate between vaccinated and unvaccinated students in the way that they're handled for quarantine purposes. And also, I saw that we received an email from the principal of our school that any student who's absent for any reason needs a doctor's note coming back to school that they don't have COVID. And I think that, first of all, that aspect of the policy really needs to go, because you're keeping healthy kids out of school, waiting for a doctor's note, where doctor's offices have long delays to get in. They're not doing testing. They're not going to give anyone a note without someone having come in and been examined by them. And you're asking people with healthy children that might have been held out, because they had migraines or because they hurt their arm or something like that, whatever reason they were held out of school for the day. They need to go to a doctor's office, the place they're most likely to contract COVID, to get a doctor's note that says they don't have COVID, so they can come back to school, and after they've possibly contracted the COVID at the doctor's office. It's kind of nonsensical to operate that way and to demand that they're for this one virus that we always need to present something that says, like, this kid doesn't have COVID. It's just no way, I don't think, to operate. And assuming that the county Nassau County changes their guidance, contra New York State, to not differentiate between vaccinated and unvaccinated students, given the fact that it seems that, vaccinated people spread this virus maybe almost as easily as the unvaccinated. Will our district embrace the idea of treating all of our students the same way, regardless of their personal medical status?
I'm going to defer to Neil on, we're following the policies that are set by, this is now Nassau County Department of Health. It's on their website. I think it went up yesterday afternoon. Yeah.
No, they're just following what the State Department of Health came out. But it's interesting what happened in New York was the CDC came out and said that if you're vaccinated or if you're not vaccinated, they don't distinguish. It's you're exposed, it's a 5-day quarantine. If you're boosted, then you don't have to quarantine. But they put vaccinated in the same pool as the unvaccinated, 5 days quarantine. And you come back as long as you're asymptomatic. Then they said to the states, now you have to review and adopt. So New York sent out an advisory saying that we're going to review the CDC. And then they issued a statement, the Department of Health issued a statement yesterday stating that, like you said, if you're vaccinated, you don't have to quarantine if you're asymptomatic. But if you're not vaccinated, you do. But we're going to reduce it from 10 days, which is what it was, a 10-day quarantine, down to 5 days. And then they said that we will be issuing guidance, more detailed guidance, which is now what we're waiting for. Usually that comes out on a Friday night at around 6:30, and we spend the weekend writing about it. So we're waiting for the detailed guidance to come out from the department, from the State Department of Health. But they did issue this advisory yesterday saying that that's the direction they're going in.
And am I correct that if there's a conflict between the Nassau County Department of Health guidance and the New York State Department of Health guidance, that the Nassau County Department of Health guidance controls?
No, it's the state that's controlling, and I haven't seen a deviation between the counties and the states. The counties get their marching orders, for lack of a better term, from the state.
Right, but doesn't the state regulation say that, unless your local Department of Health says differently?
There are some instances, like, for example, when the state was deciding what they're going to do with the CDC recommendation, the guidance, in their guidance, they said, while we're deciding, the local health departments can decide what to do for this brief period of time while we're deciding it. Suffolk County came out and made a decision that, yes, we're going to adopt CDC. Nassau County did not do anything. They just pretty much waited until the state came out with its directive yesterday.
Thank you. And with respect to the doctor's note to come back to school?
Generally speaking, if a child has a problem with their ankle or their back, that is everything is handled on a case-by-case basis. So I would wonder why that message would go across to a parent regarding a physical injury that has nothing to do with symptoms that are associated with COVID.
Well, I think the email that went out to the whole district said that if you're held out for any reason.
Well, it didn't go out from my office, so I'm definitely going to look into that. Thank you. And also, many a times children are symptomatic, and those symptoms range, as we know. and our schools are asked to confer with the parents, and the doctor's note is to allow the child to come back in, and many a times the doctor's note may say the child has bronchitis, and that's the reason for that. It's not so much saying they don't have COVID, but there's another medical reason for the symptom that they may be exhibiting. Plus, we did hand out the home kits, which this would be a situation where a parent may choose to use that kit.
The email actually said that if you use the home kit,
Okay.
it's not good enough and you still need a doctor.
Okay, I need to look into that because that definitely, and I apologize for that if that went out, that did not go through my office.
Sure, I'll
Who,
forward
I'm sorry,
that
who
email
did
to
the
you.
email come from?
Which,
School? Which school?
This was from Principal or Interim Principal Talbot.
Okay, thank you. I'll look into it, and we will make sure that it is corrected immediately.
Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
But what I said, I hope makes sense to you, that something
Yes.
like a sprained ankle, obviously everything is case by case, and, I apologize that that went out.
No problem. And I'm sure many people will speak to this, but it's just bothering me that 10 legislators from our area came out and said that this mask stuff for kids is like some sort of simple precaution, and totally ignoring, the mental and emotional and psychological harms that come to our children. And I just have to ask where those legislators' priorities are. And it used to be the case that adults would do things in order to avoid harm to children. And it seems like now what we're doing is harming children in order to alleviate, the anxieties of adults. So I would
Well,
encourage our
that's why
district to
Elections matter.
think differently.
All right, Jacqueline. I didn't do that on purpose.
I was hoping they would switch it up so we wouldn't go back to back. Hey, my name is Jackie Luciani. I am a therapist, mental health counselor with the New Hope Mental Health Counseling Services in Valley Stream. But more importantly, I'm a mom to a first grader at Old Mill Road. I've come to a few of these meetings and I've watched a lot of them, if not all of them, online. If they're streaming, I don't know right now. But
Yes.
I often don't speak at these things because I feel like I hear what you're saying, right? You're saying that your hands are tied with the governor. I get it, right? I heard what she said to Blakeman. I hear what's going on, right? I'm not dense. I get it, right? I get what's going on. And it feels like the whole world is sort of, trapped under this plan to, keep the children wearing masks. But what I wanted to come here and talk about today was the mental health implications that COVID-19 has had on our children, right? 31% in New York State, and this is on the New York.gov website, 31% of attempted suicides from children 12 to 17 in the last year have gone up, and 27% from 5 to 11. That never happens. That never happened. And so this is a concern. And so whatever you decide, right, if you have a choice, if at some point it is in your hands, right, I beg of you to really look at the situation here. Really take a look. Is this in the best interest of our children, right? Look at other aspects of things. Yes, COVID is scary. I'm a cancer survivor. I have asthma. I get it. Right? COVID is scary. I was scared of it too, right? But now I feel like I need to do what's best for my child, and wearing a mask, masking up my 3-year-old to go to Merrick Woods and my 6-year-old to go to Old Mill is rough. It's rough and it doesn't make sense to me. And so that's where I just beg of you to please look at the mental health implications. Thank you.
Thank you. Chad Waveglia.
All right. So, and liberty and justice for all. I want to start with that. Because right now, we're being ruled by this. This is a piece of paper. It's a determination by the commissioner of the Department of Health. It is not a law. It is not a mandate. It is nothing. It is literally nothing. And so I ask, one question I want to know is, why are we still being bound by this?
Yeah, you're supposed to speak to us,
Oh,
this is not.
well, I want them to see this.
You can
This
hear
is-
you. I mean, they can hear you, but you're supposed to.
Okay, so I'll hold
I'm
it
just-
up. Okay, we're not in 2020 anymore or 2021. There is no Cuomo. He doesn't have directive powers. And so you're following essentially something that is not lawful, it's unconstitutional. I sent Mr. Block a nice little memo today explaining that it's in violation of the State Administrative Procedure Act. Okay, and so one thing I'm going to demand is that one of you moves to put a vote on whether we should have the choice, and another member seconds it in accordance with Blakeman's order, and just as a matter of policy here. That's all we're asking for, vote. And it doesn't matter whether you believe in masks, not masks, this or that. This is tyranny. It's tyranny all around, and the more or the less you do, you're part of it. It's as simple as that. Whether you believe in it or not, we don't take orders from a tyrant. Hochul has no executive authority whatsoever to tell us what to do. Whether she says, you know what, the color green hurts your eyes, you can't wear it. That's how this will work out if we keep letting them just step all over our rights. And our rights as parents need to be upheld. So if you do not act, if you do not vote today, you will be acting in concert with the governor. Yeah, you will. It is true. It's absolute. It is an unlawful order. And insofar as you disagree, if Mr. Block, as
Like I said, we're going to have Mr. Block, when we're done with all the public comments, I'm still sticking to that. You know, this is very nice.
I already,
appreciate it.
no, I'm not done. I already spoke with
No,
Mr.
no.
Block, and I want to.
Let me speak for 1 second. We are going to stick to what we said before, and Neil will speak after. We have a few more public commenters, so everyone's going to have a chance to speak. Have 3 minutes, and we
Okay.
continue.
I want to see the, whatever he put in writing, I want to see that, what he gave to the board in advice, okay? And there's just there's no justification whatsoever on it. And all the children who are suffering all the nosebleeds, the headaches, loss of consciousness, anxiety, depression, these things are just going under the rug like it's not happening, but it is happening. And this needs to be acknowledged, that these kids are suffering. They're not being able to learn properly. My kid has never experienced school without masks. And I know you're all aware of this, but when you're balancing it, and you're balancing the piece of paper that mandates, it's not even a word, this isn't even a thing, you have to consider the kids. And giving us a choice to put masks on our kids is not a maskless school. It's just the choice that we retain as parents. It's as simple as that. And I'm putting you on notice that every single child that is harmed because of your inaction, that will be on you.
Thank you. Jennifer Dowman? Hi, Jennifer.
Hello. Thank you for keeping our kids in school. Let's first say that. Like, I'm a teacher and I get how hard the whole thing is, 100%, and keeping them there. We haven't gone remote. Thank you. And thanks for the snow day too. So I'm just going off the same thing that everybody before me said, and kind of like Jackie said there, just for when things can be changed so that you hear what we think and what some of us feel and believe. Just want to comment on the whole, like, if your kids playing football and helmets and all that. I mean, those are things that are scientifically proven with data over years. This is not something like that. I mean, I'm a teacher. I get a box of masks at work. I give them out. I see on the box that they give me, it says, does not stop the spread of virus. I mean, it says it. I know the CDC says that only the N95 mask, that's what's stopping the virus. So when you look at that, I mean, the CDC says it. That's it. These cloth masks, these surgical masks, they're not stopping it. So we're putting our kids through this when it's really not. The science doesn't say it's working. Which it just, I get it for a while, but at a certain point, it becomes like, what are we doing to these these little babies, like my son who's never been in school without one. I know that I've heard lots of things about how I'm going to speak to my own kid's grade, like the first graders at Old Mill are having lots of behavior issues and they've never seen this kind of stuff on the playground from kids before. And all the years, the few people have told me this at Old Mill. And these kids didn't get a chance to learn personal space. They did not get a chance to learn the most important part of kindergarten, which isn't the reading and the writing, which is the social emotional, the how to interact with another human being, how to be a kid. And they don't know that. And that's, if we keep doing this with them, we're all gonna suffer because they're gonna be taking care of us one day. And they're gonna be lacking certain things and not necessarily in the academics, because I think everyone in this district is great parents and is making sure too that we're not losing that, but it's that other stuff. You guys did say at one of our past meetings that, when it came the chance to take that vote, that you guys would all do that. And when you had that opportunity, and you guys, you're all voted in by everyone here. I do think our town needs to be better at showing our voices being heard, but we're asking for that. Like we're saying, this is what we want. Some of us, let's see who wants what. And I think that's everything I have to say. But I mean, again, also the special needs kids who are wearing these masks, who just throwing that out there too. There's so many kids who need to see faces. They need to see faces for expressions. That's a huge part of who some of these babies are. And they're missing out on that. I have a kid who's speech delayed. I mean, it just boggles my mind sometimes that he has to wear this mask when he's literally putting a barrier in front of his mouth that he needs to get the barrier to the world for what he can do. And there's so many babies like that. And that's all I would like to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Kim Stahl? Nice to see you. I saw you last week.
You did?
I was standing behind the county executive during his press conference. I saw you there.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't notice you, sorry. Okay, so you were there. So
Of course
then you
I was.
support this. This is amazing. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm not asking for you. I'm not asking you to announce it to the world. Stop enforcing it in our school. Stop handing out these freaking pieces of paper to our kids. Stop letting teachers tell our kids, put the mask up. My daughter sits in a class. The teacher wears 3 masks. Wonderful for her. The N95 masks are going out to the teachers soon. Great. They can do it. If they're afraid, let the teachers wear them. But stop telling kids to put them on and stop telling them to take them off. Let's just let kids do what they need to do and just support them. It's a medical device that doesn't even work. And we need to just stop. Let's just stop enforcing it. If a kid doesn't have a mask, I propose we start saying, don't ask, don't tell, no mask, go well. Just let them go. Just let it go.
Thank you. Deborah Burnett? Deborah? Hi, Deborah.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So I'm on a little bit of a different spectrum here. I'm wondering why, and everyone's going to dislike me for this question, but why remote option has not been made available to parents. I am a nurse practitioner. I've been so for the last 16 years of my life. I work in a very prestigious Upper East Side Manhattan hospital in cardiology. My husband, who's hiding in the back and will not come forward, is also a nurse practitioner in emergency medicine. We have been to hell and back. I'm not going to address the mask issues. I cannot. But what I would like to know is why parents such as myself, who have seen and been in situations where we know this disease can be less transmitted, why we can't take that decision into our own hands and determine for ourselves the safety of our children. I'm not asking for the district to go fully remote like we did in March 2020. That's ridiculous. Children do need socialization, 100%. But when we're peaking like this and when we have this strain that is so transmissible. And again, I'm witnessing it firsthand. I don't know what the media is portraying, but I see it. The hospitals are in a state of chaos, even the best of the best, which is where I work. I just would like the option for my child to have my child be safe. I have 2 children in Camp Avenue. Gabriel is an asthmatic, and gratefully, he doesn't wheeze. He doesn't wheeze. He'll never go to Miss Titterton with a wheezing attack. But what he does do is cough. And he coughs and he coughs and he coughs until he can't cough anymore. And then he gets intubated. Whether we think that the COVID is being transmitted in schools or not, these kids can transmit it to other people. They are carriers, vaccinated, unvaccinated. They can transmit it to parents, teachers, people in the community. I'm afraid I'm going to give my child COVID because of where I work and what I do for a living. There's no guarantee that Gabriel's not walking around with COVID or Brianna's not walking around with it because they're asymptomatic and I'm not going to test them every day. So back in September 2020, we were given the option of going remote, and I took that option. I hated it because I didn't want my children around me, but I did it for their safety and for my own sanity. And I just wish that we could have had a survey, maybe in September when vaccines were not available. I should have spoken up sooner, but I didn't. But now that we have a peak, hopefully this is the peak and I don't have to deal with this in the next month again. Now that we have this peak and we have more strains to come, I can guarantee that maybe we can consider offering those parents who are as concerned as myself the option of staying home remote. These children have Chromebooks, they know what to do. And I just wish it was an option for us.
Thank you, and thank you and your husband for your service, especially over the past 2 years. I'm gonna just let Dr. Siniak address your concern.
Yes, thank you for your service. In 2020, it was something due to the circumstances at that time that all school districts, we were mandated to do, but the need was there tremendously. And although the budget did not support it, the board was extremely supportive of putting an excellent virtual remote program in place. We were very proud of the work that our teachers and our staff and our students and our parents did with that program as we came to develop the budget for the 21-22 school year. And based on the circumstances at that time with COVID, it was not something that school districts moved forward with. And although there are parents, though, that chose to homeschool their children from back in September, and parents do have that choice at any time during the school year if they so choose. But at this time, there is no remote program, and if the need arises for as we prepare the budget for next year, that is something that we would consider. And I know that's not the answer that you want, and I am sorry for that as a parent and as the superintendent. But under these circumstances, we do not have that. Now, if a child is quarantined or isolated, we have an excellent program in place to support that child at home, not only academically, but with our mental health providers as well. But at this point in time, we don't have one, and it's how we've tracked COVID. It's how, due to the circumstances of last year, why we had it. That was also a $1.2 million expense for the district at that time. And much of what we've received in the money that we will be getting, that we did submit for, was to take care of much of that expense as well. It is something that, as needed, may be on the table for the future, but at this time, it is not.
I understand it's not, but there are school districts that did go remote briefly. And that's just what I'm at.
Okay, I'm sorry, remote and virtual. So
Am I saying the wrong term?
Oh, no, I thought you wanted a full-blown virtual
No.
program.
I just meant during the peak.
Oh, during the peak.
Um,
There are districts, and we do look at we look at the numbers. And we did put some students remote before the break, about a couple of weeks before the break. Our sixth graders at Old Mill Road, they went remote for about, I think it was 4 or 5, maybe 6 days of school, based on a situation in that school. So it's not off the table. There is something that, we have the technology, our staff is fully trained, very comfortable, we have the support for it if needed. But at this time, we're trying to keep our children in school safely, and we are making it through. And looking at the data across the classrooms, it's not to the point where that would be an option at this time.
Okay. I guess, would you consider sending out another survey and just seeing how many parents would be interested in temporary, not shutting down the whole place down, that was ridiculous, but just a temporary option for going I don't know if I'm using the right term, virtual or remote.
A virtual school versus remote, I think what you're talking about now is a virtual school where the children don't attend. Nassau BOCES was put out a survey to school districts about anyone interested in that many, many months ago. The Board of Education was fully aware of that. And they did not come forward with something. That would be more of a county consortium where school districts across the county would join together for something like you were talking about, and that never got off the ground. Would I consider a survey? I always consider a survey. After conferring with the Board of Ed as we go into budget season, anything like that, we are always open to gathering that data and moving forward from it. So yes, a survey would always be under consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ashish? Sorry, I can't. Kapadia? Oh, no. If anyone else wants to make a comment, just bring your comment cards forward.
I'm going to be brief, and I'm going to apologize to everyone because I don't want to talk about masks today. A month ago, I came to this meeting and I talked about the increasing diversity of this district and how staffing has not yet matched that diversity. It's my hope that one day it will. So I decided to do a little more digging, and I saw that in this particular school building, the second largest group of students besides Caucasian students are students that are Hispanic or Latino. And then I started to try to think about the needs of English language learners, the needs of immigrants, the needs of various groups of stakeholders, because I've heard this board and this district talk a lot about inclusion. And so one of the things that I'm going to ask for this time, as opposed to last month, is not only to keep in mind the demographics and the increasing diversity of the district, but also to keep in mind the needs of various different groups of students and their parents. One of my first experiences in this building was at a parent-teacher conference where I heard a teacher crudely apologize for being a minute late to a parent-teacher conference meeting with a parent and express in disgust that it was because she needed a translator to speak to a pair of parents of a particular student. And so it just got me to thinking, wouldn't it be really great if we had more multilingual and more diverse teachers in this building and in the other buildings of our school? And again, I bring it up for the same reason I brought it up last month. Now is when hiring season happens. And so if we're going to think about great teachers, I'm sure there are great multilingual and great Spanish-speaking teachers as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Tommy Scalise? Hi, Tommy.
How's it going? Good afternoon.
Hi, good
Seems a
evening.
little short for me. I'm gonna hold it. That's
Yep,
okay.
we can make it-
Can I
yep.
get you hear me? Okay. Before I start, I just want to say I could sympathize with what you guys are going through. You have the state and and the CDC and the county, everybody's telling you what you should do, what's right, and you're trying to make our kids safe. So thank you for hearing us out. I appreciate that. All right, so I'm a New York City homicide detective. I've been doing this for 17 years. When COVID first hit, I was mobilized to a task force where I was wearing a hazmat suit and the whole nine. I looked like an alien, but I was going to only COVID deaths, and I was going to about 7 a day for a very long time. It was very scary. And I saw firsthand how horrible this disease is. We were also trained in the proper way to wear masks. And the first thing we were told is that these do nothing. Unless you're wearing a real N95 mask, this does absolutely nothing. And again, politics to the side, but Dr. Fauci, who a lot of us agree with and don't agree with, I personally don't, just said this week, these don't belong in schools. No masks belong in schools. Dr. Sanjay Gupta, again, CNN, left wing, politics to the side, just said again this week, masks in schools don't work. These kids are not trained on how to wear these masks. I'm not sure about what schools are covered in this. My kid goes to Old Mill, but we get an email every time a kid in a class gets COVID. And I feel like my phone goes off every 2 seconds because I think the entire school caught COVID. And everyone's okay. My kid had COVID twice. They were completely fine. And if a kid catches COVID and wears this mask, I guarantee you, he's going to touch his mask, he's going to put it down, and now it's on his hands. And now he's touching the desk. And now a different kid is touching the desk. And it's going to spread. It's going to spread way worse with the mask on because these kids are not trained on how to wear a mask. Also, we have to have a little bit of common sense. When this thing first started, we were all scared. They were telling us to Clorox bleach our groceries, and we were doing it. I was jogging outside in the summer, and I was getting dirty looks for being outside and jogging because everyone was scared. I can respect that. People are afraid of getting sick. I understand that. I get it. But at some point, we have to have a little bit of common sense. Our children are coming out of the school, throwing their masks off, and then playing together. Half of the kids in this neighborhood come to my house every day with no mask on. I take my kids to Home Depot. I take them to the movies. No one has masks on. But then when we go to school, it's like, oh my God, get it on, because it's a huge hypocrisy that all of us know. And I'm sure in the teachers' lounges, I'm not a teacher, all the teachers take their masks off and eat lunch together. But then in front of people, let's throw it on real quick. At some point, there has to be a little bit of common sense. The CDC does not have to tell us what to do, just a little bit of common sense. We're all, I showed up late. The reason I'm late is because my mother right now is in the ICU for a COVID-related illness. I know how serious this is. Kids wearing masks in school is stupid. It is. I'm sorry, it's stupid. It makes no sense. For a mandate, if your child has something wrong with him, you want your kid to wear a mask, I could respect that. Put a mask on your child. I'm not going to judge you. It makes no sense for me to judge you. If I feel like putting a clown wig on my son and sending him to school, I will. No one will judge me for that. If I want to dress my kid in a crazy outfit, I will. If you want to put your kid in a mask because there's something, then do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't make me do something that I don't want to do because my kids hate this and I hate it. I think it's ridiculous. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. And thank you for your service too. Thank you. Okay, so I think this is our last speaker tonight, James Vogt. I'm going to say James V. I'm going to butcher your name. Good evening.
Hey, good
Hi,
evening.
how are you?
So I want to make a few points about practical mask policy. I've been to a few board meetings and I hear a lot from lawyers, and I appreciate hearing lawyers without having to pay a lot of money. So that's different for me. I do appreciate that.
As a lawyer, I like you saying that. Okay.
There you go.
Thanks.
But it's not a legal issue. I see it's a medical issue, and I really hope whatever policy you guys end up choosing, it's based on inputs from pediatricians and health data. New York State Department of Health recently reported a 7-fold increase in childhood hospitalizations across the state in the past couple of weeks. I think we all agree that nobody wants masks, but the timing of it is very important. Winter is probably a dumb time to remove them, all right, because that's guaranteed to spread COVID or flu or a variety of diseases when hospitals are already getting filled up. Removing masks would create 20 new close contacts if we keep that same policy of 5 days quarantine per exposure. You know, many pediatricians only recently received vaccines for children ages 5 to 11. I think parents who want to get their children vaccinated should be able to have that time before masks are completely removed from the classroom. And I know I'm not the only one to have an unhealthy or immune compromised loved one. And we do understand the frustration of parents who aren't in the same situation and who want more freedom for their kids. But the inconvenience of masks has helped save lives. I know that firsthand. So thank you. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Have a good night. So are there any other public comments tonight, commenters? All right, I'm going to now defer to Neil. Sorry, Neil.
So the reason that we are wearing masks is, and Mr. LaVeglia referred to it, is that, the state issued that emergency regulation requiring us, to wear a mask in schools, and that's regulation 2.62. That's probably because of the mask. I'll try to speak louder. Ironically, it's the mask. Yeah. So the reason that we're wearing masks, I said, is because of the regulation that was adopted by the state that requires mask wearing in school districts. Mr. LaVeglia referenced that regulation. That regulation was challenged. We were, those of you who have been to our meetings, there was discussion about a lawsuit that was brought by two school districts, Massapequa and Locust Valley, challenging the governor's authority to issue that regulation. The court issued a decision stating that the governor had that authority and dismissed the case against the school districts. This school district has in the past written a letter to the state asking for local control to be able to make that decision, right? That was not forthcoming from the state. So now we have the county executive who did issue an executive order vesting in the local school districts in Nassau County that authority. But again, we are governed by the laws of the state of New York. The jurisdiction over the school districts was reaffirmed in that decision, in the decision pertaining to Locust Valley and Massapequa in that case. It specifically references the school districts being arms of the state. It's under the state constitution, Article 11. The authority comes from the Board of Regents, the Commissioner of Education, the state legislature, the governor of New York. So if the governor of New York, the state had granted us the local authority, I would be so advising my client of that, and then my client would be able to make a decision as to whether or not they wanted to do that or not. The county executive does not have that authority. So my role then is to advise the board as to what the potential consequences are if they decide to issue a mask mandate. And we've been having that, or to make mask optional, we've been having that discussion for a period of time. Once the county executive issued his executive order, and it was mentioned before in the public comments, there was a quick response from the governor in a press conference. There was a quick response from the Commissioner of Education, Betty Rosa, and they reaffirmed that the state has control over the school districts, and they also was implied threats to the school districts as to what will happen to the schools if they don't comply, or if they decide to go off and take a vote and make mask optional. And those threats are loss of state funding, which the state has the authority to do, and we certainly don't want to risk that for our students. There's also the ability for the state to issue fines, and there's also the ability for the Commissioner of Education on her own volition to take action to remove the school board members from the school board for disobeying a lawful order, which is that regulation that was challenged, and the regulation was sustained. So that is, the state of the land as it exists right now with respect to the most recent order. There's guidance documents that are coming forth. I'm not sure what Mr. LaVeglia was holding up in his hand, but there was a recent document from the Commissioner of Health that is not a regulation. It's not a guidance. It's stating that guidance will be forthcoming. That doesn't pertain to masking. That pertains to the quarantine and shortening the quarantine from 10 days to 5 days, and for those who have to, who are exposed. So that's what my role is with respect to the board, is to advise them as to what the current state of the law is. Again, we have had clients, and again, this school board being one of them, who decided to reach out to ask for local control. We've had clients pass resolutions regarding masks. We've had a state response when they have done that, which has said that there's going to be trouble coming your way if you continue to go through that course of action. We had clients who participated in the litigation that sued the state. But as of right now, again, the county order doesn't have jurisdiction over the schools. We have to follow that regulation unless it is invalidated or repealed. And that's where we stand.
All right, thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
All right. And thank you for everyone coming tonight. We appreciate everyone who came out and sharing your thoughts and your comments with the board. We're going to move on to our business today. We have 5A. I'm not going to block, do a block motion on this because I think it's very important to thank, first of all, the Old Mill Road Student Council and the Tunnel Towers Foundation. So I need a motion to approve. The Board of Education approves a donation of $1,540 from the Old Mill Road Student Council to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. This is the money that was collected in May or June, during May, for the Field of Flags. So I want to thank the Student Council, and it's a worthy cause. So a motion to approve by Mary Keene, second by Stephen Ella. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. And then a motion to approve 6A and 7A as listed in the agenda. Motion by Mary, seconded by Robert Crowley. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. And any reports of the committees tonight? Mr. Cron, are you going to do the high school committee?
Actually, there is no high school committee report today because the high school meeting last week was postponed till tomorrow because we had a quorum issue. A number of trustees were quarantined with COVID, so we did not have enough people to.
So I look forward to a lengthy committee report at the
Yes,
February
I
meetings.
will have
Thank you.
two committee reports in February.
Are you going to do the PTA council?
I will do the PTA council.
Thank you.
All right, so yesterday was our PTA district council in our roundtable. We learned that Fayette is beginning its PARP, which Parents as Reading Partners. It's a program that runs each year. This year at Fayette, it goes from January 10th to 21st. The Fayette Science Fair kicked off. Mr. Merrims and students. That'll be the week of January 18th. It's going to be a mother and son bowling night. That's this Friday. And they have 85 people coming. That sounds like a really good time. And they also have Chipotle and Panera fundraisers that are taking place. Their next meeting is February 9th. Camp Avenue, they also have their PARP beginning, ends January 28th. The theme is Discovering the Magic of Reading. And they have 2 weeks of activities set up for the kids. They also have a Swirls World and Pizza Kit from Via Roma fundraiser also, and their next meeting is January 12th. Old Mill Road also has PARP starting on January 18th and ending January 28th. They have a Valentine Day booster run from January 28th to February 4th, and their next meeting is January 19th. SEPTA has an event scheduled for January 20th at 7 p.m. called Virtual Backyard Wildlife Workshop from Sweetbriar Nature Preserve. They also have a So Fun City coming back in February and an exciting So Yummy event. And I did not get the date for their next meeting, so I don't know if I didn't find it on the calendar either.
Tomorrow night we have camp, and then next Wednesday, Old Mill Road. And the
Yeah.
SEPTA, Dr. Murphy, when's the next SEPTA meeting? 20th.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Building grounds report, Mr. Carter?
Good evening, everyone. I'll be short and sweet. Over the holiday break, the staff was very productive in cleaning the buildings, waxing floors, getting everything straightened up. Just takes a little pause to get the buildings to yourselves where you can actually work in these typically occupied spaces. They did a lot of leaf removal as well around the property, especially here. And then we're greeted with snow. Amazing job by the crew again. Old Mill was to be seen, and we'd never stacked snow on the other side of the parking lot because of the fence. Everything went without a hitch. As soon as the parking lot was done, we opened it, people pulled in, and they were having at it, doing the sledding. So we've been picking up the test kits, PPE from Office of Emergency Management, and we've been distributing that stuff as well. So things keep moving along in spite of COVID, or in some cases due to COVID, but the guys are doing an amazing job. Our crew is outstanding.
Nice job Friday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joanne Long, any communications from the board?
Yes, we received 11 communications. I'm going to summarize them. We received 2 about remote schooling. We received 5 about Blakeman's executive order. We received 1 request now schools send a letter to the governor regarding vaccinations. Another was to keep the mask mandates. And lastly was if N95 masks will be provided. And the last question was how much has the district received in federal coronavirus aid to date, and how has that money been allocated? These are all the communications we received via email.
Any of the ones? Yeah, anything
What-
that I was copied on, I responded. Ms. Long and I will cross-reference again tomorrow. Anyone who has not received a response, now that we've had the board meeting, I'll be able to respond.
Great.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Long. Unfinished business, public comment cards. We're going to put this up for discussion tonight. We held off at the last meeting because we're missing, I think, some board members. So unfinished business, public comment cards. If there's any discussion or if we want to discuss that tonight, it's on the floor.
Well, I brought it up. I was speaking at the microphone before there were comment cards, and it's definitely intimidating. It's definitely intimidating. I think that the yellow cards actually prohibit more people from coming up because I think it adds an extra level. That's my own experience. Logistically speaking, for the most part, we're in agreement that these masks don't work, and yet we're going around to people collecting the yellow cards, or they're bringing them to us. So that just doesn't make sense in and of itself. And knowing how transmissible this is, you could be double vaxxed, you could be boosted, and you're still getting this. So I don't think we should be walking around spreading more germs voluntarily. I think the Central High School District is its own, they start at the Central High School District. I think that's a whole separate beast because you've got all the component districts who go and speak to the board. Whereas here in North Merrick, we're a small community, you can come up and say your name. And I think within a few minutes, we could probably find people's addresses that the addresses don't need to be said. I know I said mine for years, but we don't have to do that. I don't think we necessarily have to do that. So personally, I'm not in favor. I'm not trying to make Joanne's job harder at all. Joanne, I'm sorry, I'm not. But I do not like the yellow cards for many reasons.
I think the yellow
I would
cards.
like before, after the board speaks, I would like Joanne just to speak to because she has made some concerns to me, but we'll let the board discuss first. Go ahead, Mr.
Right.
Corona.
So I think the yellow cards actually take away a level of anxiety. I know when we have the people come to make the comment, we oftentimes call out just their first names because we have a hard time pronouncing their last name. So that adds a little bit of a anonymity for the people coming up. I know as the president of the Central High School District, it really helps me as I have all the yellow cards to take notes, to write down thoughts that I wanted to maybe address at a later date, or maybe get back to the people who are coming up. And it really helps us kind of keep track of everything that's going on. So I think it increases the back and forth communication and actually makes the whole process of having public comments a much better exercise, and not just the public comment part, but then following up later on. It also, as I mentioned before, the anonymity that you don't have to come up and state your address each and every time. And I believe, you'll hear from Ms. Long about the whole aspect of how it helps us with our record keeping and for board minutes.
But Ed, can I just do a follow-up to Ed's? You see the cards, but then when I was in the audience, I at times felt my card was not necessarily chosen first or at the beginning. Usually it was at the end or at time. That's what I felt like, because I felt like there was a level of, you know, oh gosh, here she is again. We don't need to hear her go first. So,
Well, that
so I'm
doesn't
just
happen now, Mayor.
No,
I get
I
a
agree.
stack and I go through.
I'll
it. But
absolutely
I am
say.
gonna ask one question. How would you propose then we would have an order? I mean, we don't want people. I think it's you're gonna have a line of people coming to the.
No.
How would you?
So whoever wants to speak, you go to the microphone. Someone sits down. Next person comes up. Go sit down. Just like the olden days.
We're not.
I'm just going back to the olden days of 5 years ago. And that's where, and believe I've been to the Central High School. I think that North Merrick and the Central High School District are completely different beasts. So I'm just really focusing on North Merrick here. And I know it doesn't happen. I know you get the cards and you call whichever name is next. I'm telling you personally, when I sat in that audience, I felt like those cards were brought for a specific reason. And I felt like they, at that time, involved me. Now I'm just thinking logistically, why do we need to be going around in the masks that don't work, collecting cards, going near each other, then bringing them over here? I just don't think it's worthwhile.
All right. Does any other board members have anything to say?
I'd like to say something. I think they both have good arguments. I think we're all making good points. But for me, if it makes Joanne's life easier, then keep the cards. That's the way I look at it.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to say? I'm going to let Joanne speak in one moment. Oh, yeah, we hear you.
Can we get a mic
Tracy,
closer
go
to the
ahead,
computer?
Tracy. Go ahead. Can you put the microphone? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hold on, Tracy.
Hold
one
on,
second. Maybe
Trace.
Can we put the microphone? Yep.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. In this day and age when we are live streaming this, I don't think people should be stating their address as they get up to the microphone. I think the cards keep it confidential, and we can see that they're a resident, and I think that that's really important in, this society where this is going out everywhere. This is all over the internet. People don't need to be stating their home address. So I would just like to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tracy, and thank you for zooming in.
Thank you.
Ms. Long?
It's my turn. Okay. Hi, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak about the whole process. As everyone knows, I've been district clerk for 12 years, and we did have a process prior to this where you would just come up to the microphone and speak, and everyone would come one at a time. However, everybody did not realize that the difficulty of hearing a person's name and their address. And so this whole process is, the yellow cards have organized the whole record keeping process for me personally. I do love it. It makes my job much easier. And I really don't understand how the yellow cards prohibit anyone from asking a question. Well, we give everyone the opportunity to ask multiple questions when they want. Whatever the board decides, I will support it 100%. I just want to share that.
That's it. Spoken like a true employee. All right. I'm just going to make a comment. I think it was 2 years ago when I first became the president or so, I did make a motion to get rid of the comment cards, and it failed. Because I'm going to say either way, I'm with Steve. I see both sides of it. But I am going to defer. And I guess if we want to take a vote tonight again, or however, we could do that. But I am going to defer to Joanne Long here because she's the one that has to record keep, and she's the one dealing with, making sure everyone gets a call back, or if they want to contact her, or if there's a follow-up question, or if Dr. Siniak needs to follow up the next morning or afternoon on a comment. So for this issue, I do defer to the employee that actually has to do the work here. And I think it's important. She does a great job with little resources. So if we want to take a vote, we can take a vote. That's all right, Neil. We can do that.
There would have to be a motion.
We have to make a motion. If someone wants to bring a motion to do that, and I think then we can move on from, because this is something I think we've beaten this to death. It's public comment cards. And the most important thing is I think we've changed a lot over the past few years of how public comment is being held. I think the substance of public comment and how it's the process of how we are talking to the public, because years ago I came to the meetings and you always thank you for your comment and move on. And right now we're trying to get information out there. We're trying to be transparent. We want people to come and speak to us. And even when we went virtual all last year, we had an opportunity for people to comment ahead of time of the meeting. So if someone wants to make a motion, please do so now. If not, I'd like to move on.
Could I make a motion that the Board of Education continues with the
I don't
practice
think
of
we need a motion
using?
to keep no, we don't need a motion to keep the process. It would be a motion to change the process because the
Okay.
process is in place. So if anyone wants to make a motion.
I have a motion to discontinue the
discontinue the
tradition of
cards
yellow
and-
cards at our board meetings.
You're making the motion
I guess I am, yeah.
I'll second that.
to discontinue the cards.
Yeah. We're going to vote on it either way, so.
You don't have, no, we don't have to vote on it. That's what
I
I'm
thought you
saying.
said you wanted to vote.
No,
I think we
if
should
someone
vote.
wants to make a motion to vote on it, you can make a motion on it.
I
We're
think-
gonna-
I'll
think
make the
we should
motion to
vote.
vote on it. Does
Motion.
anyone
Vote.
want a second?
A second? Second by Ed, all in favor? Aye. So what's just, Mr. Crowley,
Against.
Mary?
Voting against the
You're
yellow cards.
voting to discontinue the public yellow cards.
Oh, we vote? No, that was my vote.
That's the motion Mary just made.
Ed made the motion
Yeah, I
to
made
vote
the
on it,
motion.
and I second the
Seconded.
motion, right?
vote
That-
on it.
To vote on
Yeah,
it.
you don't need a motion to vote on
We
it.
need a motion to
There-
vote on
Right
it.
now, there's
Or-
a system where there's
Or
public
to
comment
change it.
cards.
We need a
If
motion
you
to
wanna
change it.
Motion to
discontinue
change it. Okay,
make a
he made the motion to change
make the
it,
motion
and
to
I
change it.
second the
Correct, I
motion.
did.
Perfect.
So let's just record that Ed,
There we go.
Mr. Corona made the motion to
Let's vote.
discontinue the use of comment cards. Mary seconded.
Seconded.
All, okay, all in favor? It's
Aye.
Mary, all in favor?
Aye.
Mary? All opposed? Aye. Okay, motion fails. Thank you. All right.
Before you adjourn the meeting, when.
We're not going to adjourn. I'm just going to see if there's any new business. Hold on. Is there any new business? All right. Go ahead. Go ahead, Joanne.
I'm sorry. The comment cards, you have to include your full name and address because you need to be a resident of the district in order to speak at these meetings. And many people are just writing their name, their first name. Just please complete the card before giving it to the board. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, on that note, I think a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
We're all going to make that second. Thank you. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought we were making a motion to vote.
That's fine.